Hypocrisy of venture capitalists during emergencies. Ethics and Social Responsibility Project submitted by Group 4. We are representing as the students of our prestigious university, IQRA University, Islamabad, Pakistan. Table of Content. Assalamu alaikum dear listeners. We are Group 4 and we welcome you to our presentation that we have prepared for our Ethics and Social Responsibility project. The topic my group and I have chosen is Hypocrisy of Venture Capitalists During Emergencies. And the issue statement is the ethical dilemma of a situation where capitalists lay off their employees and practice other unethical factors to earn profit while showing hypocrisy by using the same profit to help the needy during extreme emergencies. The two options derived from this issue are earning profit by unethical means while acting as a philanthropist during extreme emergencies, and option number 2, earning profit by ethical means while acting as a philanthropist during emergencies at the expense of gaining personal profit. We are representing from Section B. This will be submitted to Sir Raja Israr, and the names of the group members are Fareha Faruqi, Asim Kareem, Muhammad Hamza Khan, Karar Ali, Tazim Liaquat, and Ishwan Nawaz. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ishwan Nawaz. My group and I are going to give a bit of background for our topic, which is the hypocrisy of venture capitalists during emergencies. So basically, we are going to break down the topic itself to help you understand better the ethical dilemma behind it. Let's start off with the venture capitalist first. These are the people who invest money into businesses and become shareholders. Then they become responsible for any kind of decisions in the business. So any kind of action that a business takes comes directly from these people. And their main objective is to maximize their profits. Sadly, usually most of the businesses are carrying out unethical practices in order to maximize their profit, such as downsizing their employees and replacing them with machinery, or using really cheap materials to sell their products at a very cheap price in order to gain advantage over their competitions. All this to cut down their cost of production, eventually getting more profit.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Karar Ali, is 30077. So I'm going to proceed the presentation and I'm going to define the second point, which is same business show hypocrisy, acting as philanthropist towards the society in need during emergency. So Ishwa already told you about the nature of business and how it takes unethical action to earn profit. These same businesses then show hypocrisy, acting as philanthropist towards the society by using wrongfully earned profit to feed off the needy during desperate times. This is so they can gain some public fame, but really they are just exploiting people in background to benefit some in public.
This is Tazim Liaquat. Few businesses have their own ethics and behave as a philanthropist, or we can say that as a sponsor. No businesses have their own techniques to help communities in disasters. Some reports shows that few companies tells us that how they develop temporary housing solutions for affected people or the displaced people. They create new information systems to help schools, courts, or hospitals. In other ways, they help government to keep their record, give urgent supplies to needy people.
I am Fareha Faruqi. So, one of the biggest ethical dilemmas of our time with no perfect solution. Because some argue that this is total hypocrisy, while some argue that it's normal for businesses to carry out such practices and being socially responsible at the same time.
This is Muhammad Hamza Khan. Leads us to the main question. Are they being hypocritical at all if they are unethical, or should they be totally unethical to even think about helping out the society during emergencies? Like I mentioned before, that it leads us to the question whether venture capitalists act hypocritical during emergencies or not. This web graph is a visual representation of this ethical dilemma where you can see that the business can take two paths, different practices to earn profit. With that, they can choose to act as a philanthropist. So, which one is better, knowing both of them have the ability to achieve their goals of profit maximization? You will see in the next slides.
Let's talk about option number 1, which is earning profit by unethical means while acting as a philanthropist during extreme emergencies at the expense of certain factors. Let's see what our group members have to say about it. Starting with arguments in favor. Businesses don't necessarily need to invest their wrongfully earned profit during emergencies. Instead, they can provide their expertise for free to train locals during desperate times. For example, expert engineers go all around the world to teach local inexperienced engineers how to tackle difficult situations. At the same time, they can run their business the way they want to without having to worry about their ethical practices.
Since during emergencies, help from all angles is required, there is no harm in business giving charities and help, even if they are being hypocritical, since the loss in economic recession during emergencies are larger than the loss in economic recession due to unemployment.
Nowadays, most of the businesses do such practices. They all are not responsible, so we cannot say that who is actual corrupt or not. As receiver feel good to collect charities from hypocritical businesses, so there should not be any fuss or disturbance about it.
The main goal of a business is to earn profit by expanding their businesses and get better hand than their competitors. Using advanced machinery as replacement for employees is justified due to extreme competition in the market. It's okay if they invest some money into the society regardless of these necessary actions.
Business can't abandon all the people in need during disasters who have nothing to do with them. Some unemployed people can't speak for the rest of the population, thus I think it's okay for business to help even if they earn unethically.
My name is Asif Kareem and my ID is 30050. Now, it's a win-win situation for such businesses. They get to earn a lot of profit, gain more market share, win over their competitors, increase branding, improve their reputation by helping out the people in need during disasters. Overall, their business and their public image will boom as long as they keep their unethical practices confidential.
Every advantage has a disadvantage as well. Let's see the arguments we have against this favor. I think it's not justified that helping people in need during disasters evens out the unethical practices in the business. Nor does it prove that economic recession due to natural disasters is more than due to unethical decision making by the businesses. For example, recently Nishad Group laid off 2,500 employees as part of the COVID-19 downsizing and ended up donating 10 million rupees during the same epidemic. This shows the height of their hypocrisy and how they cunningly seem to look like a helper by showing off people in the background. This also shows the ratio of how much more damage capitalists cause to economic recession during emergencies.
Nowadays, people are becoming more brand conscious and are serious about ethical concerns, even if they have nothing to do with the business. And businesses end up ruining their images anyways, since it's easier to expose business wrongdoings nowadays. Their effort in creating a positive image in front of public is seen as a joke if they are aware of the business dirty doings inside the workplace. Due to this, they end up losing customer loyalty and brand image. This could cause the business a lot, since image is everything when it comes to cooperation.
The negative impact of downsizing unnecessarily is more on the economy long term than the negative impact of natural disasters. Especially in countries with high inflation, increased poverty, and high employment rate. This means that if such companies like Nishat clothing brand downsized above 1,000 employees due to COVID-19 as an excuse, then they are putting thousands of people in long-term crisis with no other source of earning and feeding their families. And due to this epidemic, rarely any company will accept thousands of jobless people due to safety concerns.
We are not even sure if the deserving gets the charities from such businesses who carry out unethical practices. It would not be a surprise if their contribution is just a PR stunt to increase their reputation. Even if the money is going in the wrong hands, it does not make them Robin Hood. If the money they earn goes mostly in their pockets and the rest goes where they are partially getting benefited from.
Now, businesses are mostly responsible for any damage and possible future damage during emergencies. Because they are too busy focusing on things that make their businesses profitable. Example, vaccines for coronavirus would have been created ages ago and thousands of people wouldn't have to lose their lives. However, businesses thought that creating vaccine for such disease is not profitable. Now the damage is done, they are stepping in to show that they are being responsible, but really they are only doing so because they know that the case is now highly profitable.
Businesses end up ruining their image. No, it's easier to expose businesses' wrongdoings and misdealings day by day. Their efforts in creating a positive image in front of the public is just like a joke. If they are aware of unethical doings inside the workplace, so they lose customer loyalty and brand image. This could cost the business a lot. Image is everything when it comes to large corporation.
Finally, let's talk about option number 2, which is earning profit by ethical means while acting as a philanthropist. Let's see what we have to say about this option. Starting with arguments in favor. Ethical businesses who focuses on labor-intensive production more than machinery-intensive not only act as responsible philanthropists but also gain much benefit from it. Such businesses become the main source of income for these people, and according to an article, the true cost of replacing employees can be twice their base salaries depending on their wage, role, and experience. The cost of replacing high performers who often deliver 400% more in productivity than their average counterpart can still be higher. Thus, it means if a business decides to downsize their employees, they risk losing potential profit anyway. It's better to stay loyal to their employees and motivate them enough to increase productivity to even out all the donations and charities that goes out into the society during emergencies.
And I'm going to proceed the arguments in favor. So, businesses don't have to earn profit unethically to be successful. And according to a recent Affleck survey, 92% of millennial consumers are more likely to buy products from ethical companies, or in other words, those consumers believe ethical brands outperform similar companies that lack a commitment to ethical principles. So an ethical business would see an increase in stock price and hence an increase in capital and be able to help the people in need.
Taxes paid by the business to the state or the government so they do not suffer any financial loss. It's better to run an ethical business instead of an unethical business because government gives incentive to those businesses.
They will be fulfilling their corporate social responsibility by earning ethically and providing facilities to those in need. CSR has its own advantages such as better brand recognition, positive business reputation, increased sales and customer loyalty, operation cost savings, better financial performance, greater ability to attract talent and retain staff, organizational growth, and easier access to capital. Therefore, being a philanthropic and an ethical business has more incentives than being an unethical one.
Ethical businesses don't usually face legal problems such as being sued for labor exploitation, child labor, mm, not meeting domestic regulations, etc. Things like that.
To act as a philanthropist, a business has to increase their brand reputation by consistent ethical marketing, or else there is no point in being a helper to the society at all. One example is of Tom's footwear business, who puts its social and environmental philanthropy on full display in every aspect of its branding. Therefore, customers know what they are dealing with. This isn't a typically cynical attempt to capitalize on actions lacking any meaning. Tom's philanthropic mission is constantly reinforced throughout its website and marketing materials. It also shows that a business has to be an ethical one in order to help the society.
This bar chart represents the comparison between ethical and unethical companies by a flag survey. It's just a visual representation of what my group member has already told you before. It just shows the huge difference between the both companies' performance and how the consumers perceive them. So as you can see by the graph, the orange bar represents the ethical companies while the green bar represents the unethical companies, and we can see clearly that a huge percentage comes from ethical companies, which are more successful when it comes to consumers purchasing their products, and that these consumers believe that these ethical companies are much more successful than the unethical companies. It just shows that no matter what decision making goes on in the company to increase their profits, the end result always depends on the consumers because they're the ones who are going to buy their products. So if a company does agree to be a philanthropist during emergencies, or by also focusing on their profit maximization, they should really lean towards more ethical practices since consumers are becoming more aware of what they're buying. One might say that it's impossible to hold anything against an ethical business, but we have some other opinions. Let's see some arguments against option number 2. The cost of corporate social responsibility can be a huge issue for even larger businesses. CSR opposes the duty a company's management has to its shareholders since it's the responsibility of the managers to the venture capitalists to maximize profits. Plus, if those managers feels like forsaking profits in favor of some benefits given to the society, they might expect to lose their job and be replaced by someone for whom profits are a priority. The Nobel Prize winning economist Milton Friedman wrote a classic article regarding this issue with the title "The Social Responsibility of Businesses to Increase Its Profits." It's quite evident and normal that businesses have a huge objective of maximizing their profit. So there is a clear conflict with profit and CSR.
So it is hard to distinguish which company is completely ethical at all due to greenwashing. Some companies appear to be friendly by carefully making smart decisions which cannot be exposed even within the workplace through greenwashing, which is a term used to describe corporate practice that appears to be environmentally responsible without actually representing a change in how a company conducts its business. Since consumers are attracted to brand through greenwashing, it is hard to distinguish which company is ethical or not. We cannot point out every business trying to be philanthropic.
Costs of CSR fall disproportionately on small businesses. It's hard for them to afford the allocation of budget to CSR reporting. They find it easier to run a business in traditional or less ethical way with 10 to 20 employees. Philanthropic step is very expensive, so they cannot afford it, and they alone earn profit to gain reputation.
When a company conducts CSR in a public space, it subjects itself to greater scrutiny. Thus, a mistake or irresponsible behavior on a company's part will be criticized much more than the appreciation it will receive for its CSR activity. And it might receive more blows to its brand image because of CSR than claps.
CSR might increase the cost of protection for a business, which will result in increased price of product. With increasing awareness, people with higher purchasing powers are able to spend more on products by ethical businesses who are also socially responsible. But most people tend to buy cheaper products with lesser purchasing power. Thus, a company can be in a loss if it tries to protect ethical products and at the same time try to give out donations to the society.
A business sometimes has no choice but to downsize employees in pandemic situation due to safety and health concerns. Sometimes a business has no choice but to act unethical during emergencies that includes disease spread.
Let's talk about the option that we have chosen. You might have guessed it already. It's option number 2. Earning profit by ethical means while acting as a philanthropist during emergencies. After having a long discussion and joining our points together, we have come to a conclusion that we are going to favor option number 2, which is earning ethically and being a philanthropist at the same time. So now we're going to tell you the reasons for choosing this option. I think that a business earning ethically might suffer loss in the short term because it is expensive to set up CSR baseline, but these businesses will also attain a lot of benefit in the long term if they set their objectives in the long run. So regardless of CSR being costly, it's worth the investment. Therefore, a business should definitely take an ethical approach when setting their long-term objectives and also planning to be a philanthropist and to help out people during emergencies. Business becomes successful when their social responsibility benefits other people from all angles. What this means is that if a business has a very ethical workplace, it ensures that it's keeping its employees in a very safe and motivated environment, so because of which labor productivity increases. These kind of companies don't prefer machinery intensive production over labor and instead use their workers, motivate them enough to improve the quality of their products and thus increasing their profits. So this is a very good way and a very good alternative of earning profits and reaching that goal. So the business then doesn't have to downsize their labor during emergencies since this is such a good way of earning profit. And by this, they become a source of income for these employees at those same difficult times, altogether helping in economic growth. So that's how a business becomes successful and also becomes socially responsible by benefiting people from all angles.
So, regardless of a business being subject to intensive public scrutiny and being highlighted for any mistakes, it can gain reputation again by publicly apologizing and coming back on the straight path, which will help it gain more reputation for at least owning up to their mistakes. Customer loyalty increase when customer will be aware that these businesses don't have any harmful strategies when trying to help the society in need and are not being dishonest, thus increasing brand loyalty because then customer will buy products or service at any given price. This will improve the position of the business.
Ethical businesses have less chances of getting sued or claimed for any damage if their basic attention is to help society without thinking about any personal gain or profit on the expense of others. So, it is the job of United Nations and the state or the government to provide services to needy during desperate times.
Government gives proper incentives to ethical business after proper audit, so it is identifiable which companies are actually working ethically, and they will get proper benefit from it as well. Any company with an ethical workplace has proven to be more productive than unethical ones. It does not have to replace its employees, since employees are provided with safe and motivated working environment, while unethical workplace will have to keep replacing their production elements, adding up to their costs.
Ethical businesses provide a source of living for workers, especially ones an hourly wage who prefer to work, or the ones who need to earn something to keep their families from starving. May be hourly paternalistic, and a good company finds safer ways for their employees to work even during pandemic.
It's normal for businesses to raise their prices for products during emergencies, making sure it doesn't exceed the limit according to the law. So, instead of unethically using cheaper materials to sell at lower price, it's better to increase prices since goods go into shortages during emergencies and demand for them increases.
This finally brings us to the end of our project. We really enjoyed pooling up our thoughts and perspective and placed together as a group to critically analyze whether the actions of a business venture matters when it comes during the time of emergencies. It really made us think that it's so important to set distinctions between right and wrong to be able to implement in life if we ever decide to start a business. I would like to thank Sir Raja Israr for giving us an opportunity to be on this platform and for the ethical lessons he has provided to us, because of which we were able to choose a better option from this ethical dilemma. Hope you enjoyed our presentation. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.